If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're here with the last of the classic Bandai and Playmates Toho series figures, well, more era of ish figures, which today we have the final figure we're going to be taking a look at for this little batch of reviews, and we're going to be taking a look at the Playmates King Kong 2005 from Peter Jackson's remake of King Kong. This is from, I don't remember which set of Kong figures this is based on particularly, or which this actually comes from, so do forgive me, but we're just reviewing the figure as is, because if I remember correctly, this did come in a set, and it did come with like some dinosaurs and stuff, but here, this is the Kong we have, this is where we are reviewing. I originally got this guy at a flea market for like, what was it, 30 bucks, I want to say. Again, years ago, memories a bit hazy, but today we're going to be taking an extended look. So let's go ahead and, well, take a look. So for the sculpt and paint, it is obviously based on the more realistic take on Kong, being more of like a silverback gorilla enlarged. But here we have a very well detailed face, and it's got some very gnarly eyes here looking straight at you, very pissed off looking with the brow. And here we have like this big scar here on the side. I wonder what the context of the scratch was, because it goes from right to his lip, then right upwards, and then you get like two cuts there and there, and then you have like two cuts there and there. Or I'm just overthinking the anatomy of a toy. But you do get another scar here, which was probably this scar connected there, closed out and this right down there. Then another kind of scar there. Actually, they wouldn't be scars, they'd be freshly cut open wounds, because scars are not red. We have 4 lines here, and then we have like more like the lines were. Actually, let's go back to the head, since I didn't really touch upon that. We have some really nice sculpted nostrils, and of course the teeth are really well sculpted and painted. And we do have like one tooth that's a bit bigger than the other. I don't know if that's intentional. Mine could have broke, but that feels really smooth, so maybe it's intentional. We have like this big gray piece of paint that goes all the way from the top to the bottom, representing his tongue and the gums. And we actually have some nice dry brushing here at the bottom, which is actually more on the white side, so it almost gives the illusion of a beard. Funny enough, because King Kong, like 25 years later, 20-ish years later actually, would have a beard. So of course the top doesn't really have a whole lot going on. We have some more like the fur details going down, and that's about it. Here for like the shoulders, we have more like the fur detail going here. Then we got like the pecs, which are not really that great detail because they kind of stand out, being a lot more smoothened out. But we do have some nice scarring, which going back to here, I'm just gonna call them scars because why not? We have some more scar paint. They're not so much detailed on as there are paint, because you can kind of dig your finger in there. It's not really like, doesn't feel like there's any sculpt work in there. I know they're like lined up with the fur, but that's only really an illusion. But we do have some nice paint here as well, although they are just kind of slapped on some areas here. They are I can't even tell really, but they are painted honestly a little for the arms themselves. They do have very nice fur detailing, and they have that kind of more gray whitish wash to them in pretty much like a majority of it. They're not so much like here and there, but they are rather well done here. The fists on this arm kind of got a little bit of a gray spray. They don't have a whole lot in the way of detail, mainly like smoothed out, which take it or leave it. On this side, we have an X, which this actually looks more appropriate, and then you just get this very crumbly painted on one. But again, you do get some nice dry brushing here and there. Same thing with this wrist, except that it's a lot more clenched. And then you got the backside, which we have this, and then you have more scarring here and here, here. This Kong really had a battle. Like, there's no doubt about it. Then you get some more slashes down here, the more the smoother details. Not so much painted there, But we do have some more paint here where we get even more slash marks. Yippee! And again, I have to question the context of this scarring. It just kind of looks more like they just went ham on the scarring. Really, because, like, look at this. Like, what did the creature do? Like, have one hand that kind of missed and then it made contact and then it had two splitting points? Like, again, I know I'm overthinking it, but at least Kong figures had consistent scarring. This just kind of went a little overboard. But for the legs themselves, very well detailed. And then you have the very well painted legs, which are pretty well dry brushed, kind of going down. And then you have this part, which again also has a very nice kind of detail to it. And then we have like the little feet here as well, which looks pretty well done. A511, Playmates Toys, and all that. And so, really, for sculpting paint, that's kind of it. Um, Honestly, for what is essentially a 20-year-old figure, this honestly is not that bad and has held up pretty well. I will admit the pose is a bit on the more neutral side. I mean, wait till we get articulation to talk about that, but it does look at least the part for what it should. And as for the build quality, this is kind of made more of a softer plastic, while the wrists, I think, are soft. Question mark? Big question marks. And then everything else is pretty much harder plastic. So that's going to be about it. But perfectly segueing into articulation, head can rotate a full 360 degrees. As we can spin around just like this. For the arms, they do go up and down, but you'll hear a ratchet. We'll talk about that in a sec. Ah, that's loud. For this elbow, we can straighten out about that far, bend in about that far. Also, forgot to mention, there's a tiny little hinge in this arm that kind of keeps the pose. Same with this one. I hate that clicking sound. This one's even more limited. And yeah, so straighten out about that far, bend in about that far. So really nothing there for this one. Straighten out, bend in. So again, nothing really there. But he has rotations here at the wrist and can clench his fingers. So kind of like, actually no, it's not really like the neck of Godzilla's because he came way before they did. But you can also rotate and clench that fist as well. Although it does look a bit awkward when you have it like fully assembled, because like, kind of look at that, just the hinge was not placed there the best. For this, the legs, you can kick up about that far, go back about that far, and can rotate. For the knee, pretty stiff again after all these years. You can straighten up about that far and bend in, yada yada yada. You know the rest. Just like that. And so that's going to be articulation. So unfortunately, he's not the most articulated as, like, say, the later GVK Godzilla vs. Kongs would be, but he's still decently articulated for his own right, which perfectly segue into why the arms were clicking, which is going to be his gimmick. If you didn't notice, he has a button on the back, which you put the arms up, and then you... Yeah, unfortunately, one of the arms only works on mine now. I mean, I don't really mind because this thing is like how old? Yeah, can't really expect that 20-year-old gimmick to stay around even after all these years, unless you just left in the box. Although the weird thing is that it still clicks, it still does like the spring load mechanism, but you can't get it to like activate on this arm anymore. Like, I'm trying to press that sucker down and it is not going. But whatever. But yeah, that's about it for the Kong figure itself. So let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. So here he is with a Mezco Kong, the Mezco King Kong of Skull Island from, well, Mezco Toys. And he is significantly, well, not significantly, but it's noticeable that the Mezco Kong is way bigger than the Playmates one is. And there's a clear weight difference. I mean, this is at least average weight for a toy. This feels like a cinder block by comparison. Not that it is the weight of a cinder block, but you could use that guy's book weight. And here he is compared to a larger Kong, the NECA Toys King Kong original version. This is their own unique version of Kong, even though it's obviously based on the 1933 design. And as you can see, he is there is a huge significant size difference this time because this guy's like 8 inch, and also his arms are about as long as his whole body is, not counting his head. So, damn, talk about some really big arms, huh? And here he is next to the Playmates Toys Classic Kong from Godzilla, sorry, not Godzilla vs. Kong, Kong Skull Island. And this was their original release, which I also previously reviewed. Go check their review out. And as you can see, there's a clear quality difference compared to when they were first doing Kong figures then in 2020. But to be fair, let's at least cut him some slack. This was rushed. And for the last size comparison for this video, which you can't even really see inside this because it's just that big. Here he is compared to one of my largest King Kong figures in my collection, the Playmates Giant Kong with Beast Glove from Godzilla Kong the New Empire. And, oh boy. I was talking about the NECA Kong's arms being as long as they were. This guy's arm is about the length of the whole figure. Yeah, this is one big monkey. Again, also check my review of this guy out. And so overall, what do I think of this guy? I think that this guy is actually pretty solid. Granted, it's aged. Yes, it's aged. I can tell because how, I don't know, something about this just feels like it's aged. But obviously, because it's a 20-year-old figure at this point, which is probably older than the age of some of you guys watching. But on the flip side, let's at least rank it overall. So our sculpt and paint, it has really good details. It has really good paint, especially for a figure this old. And I do like that it has consistent plastic and it's not constantly made of, oh, this section is made of rubber, that section is made of hard plastic. Soft plastic, soft plastic, soft plastic, and the rest is hard. That's it. That's all you need. So for that, I'm going to have to give the sculpt and paint, I'm going to say an 8. There you go, an 8. I think it could be a little bit better, especially with how much areas are not, actually, I'm going to dock that down to a 7.5. I'm being a little generous, especially to those pecs. Those are not really detailed all that well. I feel like they could be done a little bit better. But for the articulation, 6. I'm sorry, but the articulation's there. It's just not usable. But the gimmick is. So how do I rate the gimmick? Honestly, I'm gonna say the gimmick is, for what it was, 8 out of 10. Because it did work when I first bought it. So maybe it was my fault that this thing doesn't work anymore. Who knows? So overall, I'm going to say that this figure is a 7.5 out of 10. At least for me personally. Do I recommend him on the aftermarket? I think the Kong figures from the Peter Jackson movie are still readily available, at least from what I've seen. But then again, I've only looked at select listings online, not the whole thing. So you're going to have to do some digging yourself. So maybe find around some listings, see what you can find. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you guys like to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everyone.